Well, today I'm introducing a brand new release from Reolink. This is a 4G cellular security camera called the Reolink DUO. Now this camera features an ultra wide view. It's going to give you a 150-degree view with these two cameras. It has the unique capabilities in the app to have two separate videos or combine them into one panoramic type video. Today I plan on going over all the features that make this camera unique. I'm going to go through the setup because there's always some questions on the setup of these 4G cameras. I'm also going to mount it here on my farm, and I'm going to show you sample videos that I get from this camera and show you exactly how that wide view and the two different cameras work. I'll also do some testing to see if this could ultimately be used as a cellular trail camera and what the benefits would be to have two cameras in one. And then in the end, I'll bring you back and give you my final thoughts, the pros and cons as I see it after using this camera. That's a lot to get into, so let's get started. Now, all Reolink 4G cameras have a smart PIR sensor. That means the camera is in standby, but as there's action in front of the camera, it trips the smart PIR sensor, begins recording a video and continues to record all the while there's a subject in front of the camera. This makes them ideal for cellular trail cameras. If you've been a fan of my channel for any amount of time, you know that I use Reolink 4G cameras as cellular trail cameras. I'll put a link right up here to a video where I laid out why I think the Reolink 4G cameras are the best cellular trail cameras out there. But continuing on, as they record that video, they send you a near instant notification. Within seconds, you know that there's activity in front of your camera, all the while it's recording that video. It then saves those recorded videos onto the SD card. You can physically pull that SD card to view your videos, or you can download the free Reolink app. Through the app, you can go back through all recorded events. You can see events from days or months ago, but you can also get a live view of exactly what the camera is seeing in near real time. Because it's a security camera that can also have a microphone and a speaker, so you can hear exactly what's going on and you can actually talk through the camera. For instance, you can imagine if somebody walked in front of your camera, you're going to get a near instant notification. You can log into your camera, and if the person is still there, you can hold a conversation back and forth. You can speak through your phone, through the app, and they will hear it on the speaker on this camera. You could be 1,000 miles away and talk to somebody that's in front of your camera. Now it also has custom messages. You can record a message that plays each time that there's an event. You can turn that on and off. It also would have an alarm if you would so choose to have an alarm. As something triggers the camera, an alarm would go off. It has a lot of different features, but I want to specifically talk about this Reolink DUO now. This Reolink DUO is unique because it has those two cameras built into one. As the smart PIR sensor detects motion, it's going to begin recording on two different cameras, giving you that ultra wide view. Another very unique thing about this camera, it has both white LED spotlights and infrared. Now you can use those white LED spotlights as a motion light. That'll also give you a color video at night. You can really light up the night with both cameras having the white LED spotlights, but you might want to choose to be more stealthy. It also has infrared. You can turn off those spotlights and have just the infrared at night, making this camera nearly indetectable. It can light up the area using infrared, and you get that black and white video at night. So as you can tell, this Reolink DUO packs a ton of unique features. I want to put them to work and test them, but first we got to set this camera up. So let's work at that next. Now the setup of these 4G cameras can be a little intimidating, but I want to make this as simple process as possible. This is the actual data card that I choose to use. Reolink allows you to use many different type of data cards. Most AT&T and T-Mobile providers will work. Verizon does not. I just found I use the EIOTCLUB data card. It comes pre-cut, has 3 different sizes that's going to fit into this Reolink. I use this with all my Reolinks, and I know it's going to work, and it's a pretty simple process, and it also is one of the most affordable out there that I've found. So I'll be using this. If you're using a different type data carrier, your process may be slightly different, but the first step is to simply go to the website that's listed and then enter the number that's on your card. That's going to activate your card. You have to activate this before placing it inside the camera. So go into the website and enter this card number next. After this card is activated online, we're ready to insert it into the camera. If you'll look on the bottom of the camera here, we have a screw, and they actually included a screwdriver. So we're simply going to remove that screw and take off the cover, allowing us access to the compartment where we can put in the SIM card. I plan to share later the pros and cons as I see it after using this camera, but this would probably be one of the negatives. Pretty hard to have to access these slots down inside the camera by removing that cover. I wish there was an easier way, but we're going to proceed here. The first thing we're going to do is insert the micro SD card. This is also not included. I'm going to be using a 32 gig micro SD card, but I'll show you which way this is oriented. So you can see the camera here. We're going to flip the camera straight upside down. We're going to insert the metal contacts downward, down towards the bottom of the camera here, and we're simply going to press that in. We're going to press that in, and I'm actually going to use the screwdriver that's included. Carefully press that down until you hear it click. It should be totally flush when it's inserted correctly. So the next step, Reolink includes this very small pick in your package, and that is you press it down inside this hole, and when you press that, you can see it releases the SIM card slot. After that's pressed, once you have that pulled out, you can simply grab that, and this is where you're going to put your data SIM card. So I have my activated SIM card here, and we have our SIM card holder. I'm going to show you exactly how to place that on the holder. You place that with the lettering that says SIM. You have your metal contacts down. So next we're going to insert this inside the camera. This might be the hardest part because you have to have this oriented correctly. Here's the back of the camera. Again, so the camera is being held with the back straight up. The cameras are facing straight down. You're going to simply press that in to that slot. Again, that should go even, but this time you will not hear it click. Again, this isn't the best system or setup, but getting that oriented correctly, exactly as I showed you, is going to help alleviate any problems. The next step is to open your Reolink app. If you've never downloaded the app, you're going to have to do that first. I already have numerous cameras on here, so I'm going to press the plus button. It brings up a camera here, and it wants you to scan a QR code on the back of the camera. You do have a QR code. We can simply scan that to begin linking this to our app. It's saying connecting your device, and it's switched screens now. It wants us to create a password, so we'll enter a device name and password. We'll wait a little bit here. Next, the second step is to name your device. We'll just name our device Reolink. It gives you a couple of notes here about how the camera works and some quick tips. We're going to hit next, and we're going to click finished. So now that we had finished, we should go down here to our list and find our camera. If we click on the camera, we should get a live view, and here we are, a live view of the camera. If we turn this sideways, we're going to see both cameras at the same time. So that's a pretty unique feature. There's a little bit of a delay there, but not too bad, within a few seconds. So after the camera was activated, it was easy to install. It only took several minutes. The nice part about this setup is my driveway actually comes in and makes a 90-degree turn here and goes back behind the barn to all my different outbuildings. This camera with the two lenses should give me a wide enough view to be able to cover both areas of my driveway with just one camera. No other way would I be able to do that without buying two separate cameras. Let's see how this worked out. So I've been extremely happy with this camera, and in fact it does act like two cameras in one. The way that my driveway is shaped and laid out, I can cover two areas with one camera, and it works virtually seamlessly. You can see a little bit of a seam where it butts the two videos together, but it's very minor, and in fact, depending on the lighting, you don't see that seam at all. I'm pleased with how much area you can cover with this one camera. 150 degrees is quite impressive. If you can imagine putting your arms out to the side, that's basically 180 degrees. This camera is just shy of that, of 150. So if you place your arms out and get a real good idea of how wide this camera is actually seeing. Not only can this camera be used as a security camera, I placed it out into the woods to see, can this work as a cellular trail camera like I do with all my other Reolinks. I was quite pleased with the footage I got from this. Again, the huge advantage of this camera, you can cover that 150 degrees. So if you can imagine a trail, normally you would have to place a trail camera and face it either looking up the trail or looking down the trail. With the right placement, this camera can cover both directions. As the animal comes, it's on the one camera. As it leaves, it's on the other camera. You're covering that 150 degree wide angle with this one single camera. It's great for putting it on the edge of a food plot, and you can look over and cover a very wide area. Now, when I was using it as a trail camera, I opted to turn off the white LED lights and simply use the infrared like most other trail cameras that I operate. If you would prefer to have those color videos, you could leave the white LED on. Just be mindful, it might scare the game depending on the animals in your area. So this camera gives you the option, many different options to set it up and to suit your needs, and I found it worked quite well even as a cellular trail camera. Now I'm going to give you my final thoughts in just a second, but there are a few things I wanted to touch on. First, I want to give you a demonstration of exactly how the app works and how it takes those two videos and turns them into one. So check this out, and then I'll come back with my final thoughts. So I wanted to give you an idea of exactly how the app works here. When you pull up your live feed, you can see you have two different cameras there. When you combine that sideways, it combines both videos into the wide mode. Let's get back, break it down to two different videos. If we go into playback, this is going to be bringing up the previously recorded events. Now they're broken down by different days of the month. So let's just select a video here and play it and show you how the playback works. It loads the stream. This could take a couple of seconds depending how much signal you have. There you go. There's two separate videos, or if you turn it sideways, you can see it combines it into one video. You can again go back to two different views, and the camera does quite well. It's a little glitchy here. It depends again what your video settings are like and what type of signal, but that works very well to combine them into one wide view or break it down into two separate views. So as you can see, that app worked quite well. It takes those two videos and seamlessly puts them together to give you that wide view. Keep in mind, when you pull the videos off the SD card as they're recorded onto the camera, if you pull that SD card out and view them, it's going to be broken down into quite a few different files. Every video it records, each camera records two videos, one at high quality and one at medium or low quality, depending on the settings that you had chose. So that leaves you with those two videos per camera. Remember, there's two cameras, so every time an event is recorded with this camera, there's four different videos being saved. A high and a low resolution from camera 1 and a high and a low resolution from camera 2. So that's one thing that can be a little bit cumbersome when you actually view the files on that SD card. There's a lot of files because of that high and low resolution and because you have two cameras recording at the same time. Now also keep in mind, unless you're going to use a video editor of some sort, when you view the videos that are on the SD card, you're only going to be seeing one at a time. And you can watch either from camera 1 or from camera 2. Now if you have some technical abilities and you want to edit those videos, you can place them together and get the wide view just like the camera does in that app. Now that app does it flawlessly and it does it very simply. You have to be a little bit more creative if you're going to be using your editing software. If you are into using the editing software and you piece those videos together, you can actually get quite creative. By pairing up those two videos in an editing software, you can actually pan through the video both when they're full size and create some very interesting effects. I personally enjoy that, so I was having a lot of fun with my video editor, placing those two videos together and creating my own movement. One last thing I wanted to touch on before I give my final thoughts. A lot of people are going to ask about the data usage. If you have two cameras, are you going to be using twice the amount of data? Well, the answer is yes and no. To actually record videos, this camera uses virtually zero data. It doesn't take data to record the video, so when it sees an event and it records that and saves those videos, there's no data being used. The only small amount of data is when it sends you that notification that there was an event. It takes a very small amount of data, and that doesn't really affect whether you have two cameras or one. It's just sending you that one notification. Now, where you will use twice the amount of data is when you view the live feed or you play back the videos. So when you go into the app and you're looking at the live feed, you are running two cameras at one time, and that is essentially doubling your data use. Also, when you play back the video, and if you play back both videos, you're doubling your data use. You do have the option of just viewing one camera at a time, either in live feed or through the playback. So keep that in mind. The more you live feed with both cameras, you are going to be consuming more data off your data plan. Well, I've showed you the setup of this camera. I've put it out into the field and showed you samples that I've collected from this. It's now time for my final thoughts. I really like this camera, and in fact, I was impressed. It did everything it was advertised to do. I continue to be impressed with the amount of technology that's available nowadays. If you would have told me that something like this would be available to run on 4G and to have two cameras blended into one, 10 years ago, my mind couldn't have even imagined that. And here we are today with that exact unit available. Another positive is this works on the same app as all other Reolink 4G cameras. So you can have a Reolink Go, a Reolink Go PT, and now the Reolink DUO, all on the same app. As you saw in the app, it can transfer those two videos into one. And again, that's the same standard app that you can be using with all the other Reolink cameras. I like the idea that this camera has both white LEDs or infrared, and you get to choose either or. Using it in a security setting, those white LEDs really lit up my driveway, yet you have the option of turning those white LED off and simply using the infrared. A lot stealthier if you're using it as security or as a trail camera like I did. You might not want those white LEDs. This camera gives you the option to turn them on or off. But now shifting over to the cons, there are a couple of cons. I'm going to start off with the most obvious and the same complaint I've had for a long time with my Reolink cameras. It's bright white. This one actually does have a black face or a black portion up front. That's nice, but the whole rear of the camera is bright white. Now in certain setups or certain locations, that's fine if you're up against a white house or white tin. But a lot of places where you would want to mount this camera, that white really sticks out. I really wish they would give different color options, or at least a black option and a white option. That would be great. The second con is the setup of where you place the SIM card and your micro SD card. You have to remove that screw and the cover to access the rubber cover that has the ports covered up on this camera. It's a little bit of a hassle, but once you get it set up and get that all buttoned back up, it's not too bad. I just really wish they would have a little bit simpler way to install those SD cards and a SIM card without having to remove that cover and having all those slots recessed up into the bottom of the camera. So that's it. Those were the pros and cons as I saw it after using this camera. Definitely more pros than cons, and in fact, the cons, none of them really affect this camera's performance. It worked flawlessly for me, and I was quite impressed. So if you have any questions or comments, you can put them down in the comment section. I covered a lot of different territory here with this camera, and there's probably a lot more that I didn't touch on. So if you have questions, feel free to drop them down in the comment section. I'll work hard at getting back to each and every one of you. I'll be placing a link down in the description if you're interested in checking out more information, or maybe you want to buy one of these for yourself. It really does help my channel out if you go through that link. And in fact, there's going to be a discount code down there in the description also. So if you want to save some money, For a limited time, there's a discount code. You can enter that at checkout. So you're definitely going to want to go down in the description and check out all the information that's listed down there. I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.